I wanted to do a shadow box molding for a while. What I wasn't quite set on is if the Limewash and the shadow box molding could be done on the same wall.
Looking through an hourglass, the changes of the riverbank. How long does the present last? The future now will soon be past.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am continuing this week on the dining room project. Last week we focused on the color and getting the technique right with the Limewash. I love it. I've lived with it now for a couple days and it really feels like a completely different space already, and we just began. I do, however, feel that maybe it's just because I'm used to the darker color, but it feels very barren to me. And I knew I wanted to do a shadow box molding for a while. What I wasn't quite set on is if the Limewash and the shadow box molding could be done on the same wall, because I didn't know if it would just be like overpowering to the eye or what. But I think because the Limewash effect is there, but it's not so heavy and in your face, I think the shadow box molding's really going to be essential. I think it's going to add that little oomph to the wall just to give it a little bit more detail. Obviously, I'm going to have, like I said, I'm going to do a sideboard here. I'm going to continue the bookcase down to the ground. So there's going to be other stuff there. But visually to my eye right now, I feel like the wall, because it is lighter now, feels a lot bigger. And it feels like it just needs a little something. I do think I'm going to go small on it, though. I was looking at sizes, I know, during the design video, and I found one that was like 1.5 inches wide. I think that's a little too wide. I think I want to go a little under an inch. I don't want it to be super big. It's not a huge space, and I'm going pretty detailed in the molding. I'll tell you why specifically I'm doing the pattern that I am doing. But I think I want to go smaller, but we need to source that still. Find an actual trim that I like, that's the right size, and it's going to work with the whole aesthetic. There's stuff to do. Anyway. First thing I want to do is really plan out the design and make sure that visually it's going to work, because I don't want to go haphazardly into this. So I went and got a new roll of painter's tape. This one is 1.4 inches wide. That's when I was thinking about doing that other trim. I think because I'm going to do smaller, I'm not going to go get another roll of tape, but just imagine this is all going to be a lot narrower than this one right here. I'm going to play with the actual measurements and the design up on the wall with tape first. One, I'll know how much wood I'm actually going to need then, but two, I'll be able to see if the plan in my head is going to work visually on the wall. So, that's the first project. Let's map this out. I mentioned before about the things that I wanted to keep in the room. The table, the chairs, the mirror, the light fixture. These were all things that I knew I wanted to work into the design because they're actually pretty new. I've only had them for like a year or two, and they're all pretty basic enough that they could work within a number of different designs. Let's talk about this mirror. This mirror is 48 inches wide. It's big. It's actually the exact same diameter as the table, so I kind of love the like symmetry, the mirroring of the circle on the wall and the circle on the table. I love those things, so I knew I was keeping the mirror here. Not to mention, having it at the end of this long room really helps open up the space, so it's staying. This provided an interesting challenge when it came to the shadow box molding. Originally, I was thinking about playing with flexible molding and doing like an arch or something like that. If I did an arch around here, it would have to be really wide, obviously, because the mirror is so wide, and then if I did other panels next to it, there's just not enough room. So I was like, I have to keep it square. But I want this still to look like it was meant to be here. So the line at the top is 3.5 inches from the ceiling. And that is how far down the crown molding is gonna go. It's the same crown molding that I use in the bedroom. It's gonna kind of tie the whole apartment together. I'm using the same one. So that's gonna drop down 3.5 inches. This line here that I made is the same line equal that runs all the way across that header above the kitchen right there. The plan is to do smaller boxes on the top, more square boxes in the middle, and then do one that comes up to about chair railing right at the bottom. That's a little bit in between the two sides. So there's gonna be a small one at the top, big, and then a medium at the bottom. That's the design. Obviously I have to work with, the wall technically is pretty much a square, minus this is in the way, and that is in the way. The only way I can make this work in my head is to act like basically these aren't there. So molding's going to be running directly into it and basically just getting cut off. But I want my pattern to stay the same. I think if I try to do a pattern around these weird little alcoves and stuff, it's gonna get complicated, it's gonna look wonky. So I'd much rather the molding just kind of trail off and my pattern stays perfectly the same. This is confusing, you'll see what I mean when I actually put it up on the wall. First thing I am gonna plan out is this perfect square up here. I think I need to raise the mirror about 4 inches, which is totally fine because I wanna have my sideboard here, and the sideboard, I'd like to have a little space between the sideboard and the mirror so I could place stuff on the sideboard and it's not directly, right in front of the mirror. Okay, this is what we got so far. And I'm glad I'm doing this ahead of time because there are definitely things that I want to change. I don't think the square is working. I wanted it to fit the mirror perfectly, and I think I'm just gonna have to settle with it fitting perfectly vertically. I just don't think the square works. I think it needs to be a rectangle. I think that just the way shadow box molding works, I feel like it needs to be elongated to make it feel longer. I think what I'm gonna do is, instead of having 6 inches in between here, the top box has to stay the same. It cannot change because I want that height to go around all the way above the header of the kitchen, and obviously I only have that much wall to work with up there, so that has to stay the same. So the only things I can change are down here and down here. So I think what I'm gonna do is move this one down 3 inches and move this line up 3 inches, so it becomes more of a rectangle. I think this one's good because it's gonna be right about the height of the sideboard, so I don't want to go higher, I think, with that. I think because then I'll just see a weird line there. I don't think I wanna go higher there. So I think the only thing I really need to change is the height of this middle box. All right, after a lot of math and stress, I think I finally have it to a place that I'm happy with. A couple things really quickly. I'm thinking maybe because I'm doing a thinner molding, and because on this side, that's getting cut off because of the bookcase is gonna go all the way. That's why that doesn't end there, because I'm gonna extend the bookcase. So it's just running off into the bookcase. So I'm thinking because everything has a 3-inch gap in between it, I could do another 3-inch and make it look like this. Another panel is just running into the wall and it's not, you know, just stopping here. Food for thought. It doesn't really bother me either way. Blue makes it seem really, really harsh. This isn't going to be as drastic when the trim is up there. 1, it's going to be smaller, but 2, it's also going to be painted like the same color. So it's not going to be as bold and in your face. But I was thinking, just because I have the room here to make it look like another panel is continuing and just ending there. Food for thought, but also the tree's going to be in front of it, so I don't know if I really care that much. And just, we'll see how I feel. Maybe I'll have some extra trim and maybe I'll just do it. But I really love how this turned out up there. I was hoping it would be exactly equal to this side. I made the 2 side panels the exact same width because it was going to be right next to them. But the middle one is about, get the light out of your way. The middle one is about, on that side, is about 10 inches shorter than this one. But it's fine. I'd rather have it centered on that wall than try to make it, you know, I like it. I think it's going to work. So, I think we have a plan. Now I can measure all of this out and I'll know exactly how much molding I can need. I need to still find it. I'll run over to the hardware store, see if I can find a smaller one that I like, and we can get this project started. It's all right angles, so it should be pretty easy, but knock on wood. I find it so weird that they didn't have not a single chair rail, not even like a super thick one or a super small one. None. Seems like a very weird type of molding just not to have. And then so I'm gonna go over to Lowe's, which is further away, but like I checked online and they have not only plenty of options, but plenty of inventory in stock. So it's very strange. Whatever, I picked up a bunch of different paint samples. It's a little tough, obviously, to go off of pictures on the phone because sometimes the tone on the phone doesn't get it quite right. So I got literally a ton of options. And I'll probably pick up some more at Lowe's. I would much rather get it right so I can go pick it up tomorrow and I'd rather have more options to pick it up than get home and all these options just not be right. So anyway, off to Lowe's. I love not having a roof on the car. I live in a perfect place for it, but it does have downsides. I was driving around yesterday and I got terrible tan lines just sitting in my car. So I have 2 here that I pulled. I like this one. This is the one I pulled before in the design one. This is the profile. It's almost the same size as the tape that I have up there. It's 1 1/4 inches. I like the profile, but I just don't know if I want to go that thick. And then I have one that's about 1/2 inch smaller. It's 3/4 inch. Here's the profile. I like this one because it feels more edge, obviously. Boom, boom, boom. But it's much smaller, which originally what I wanted, but now I don't know if I'm like rethinking it or not. Okay, we got a ton of prep done yesterday. All of those, got the wood Feeling good. The one thing that I need to do to just really whip out this project really fast is I need to pick a paint color. Now, this should be interesting because I only had a couple photos that I had taken of the wall to go off of to get samples at the store. Because I used the 2 different Limewashes, I kind of made my own color, so I didn't really have any other options. And honestly, these paint colors are kind of all over the place. Some match the photos, some I just grabbed because of a hunch. So let's see what we got. Nope. Nope. Definitely not. Nope. Closer. That's it. You know what's really interesting about this one too is that it's one of the ones I kind of just grabbed just in case, because a lot of the paint colors that I was picking out based on the photo were a lot pinker than I was expecting, and I was like, it doesn't look that pink in person. So I guess it just kind of goes to show you what the camera correction and the lighting can do, because this is not one that I would have naturally matched up based on the photos, but like it's a perfect match in here. I got lucky this time. But it's kind of the same thing I had with the any of the videos in the kitchen. Sometimes when I was editing videos, I was like, wow, this green does not look like the green that the cabinet actually is. So I don't know. Anyway, winner. I just need to get like a pint of this. I'm not gonna use a lot of it, but I'm gonna grab that, and then we can start cutting and painting all of these trim pieces. Now that we have all of our supplies, let's start cutting this trim. That's all the pieces cut. I'm gonna let them dry overnight, and tomorrow we'll start hanging. Good work. We have all of our trim pieces cut, painted. We are ready to do the fun part. Get it up on the wall. I got a new present for myself. Where is it? Haha. I thought my finish nailer, since this trim is so small, would be a little bit much, and I don't really need long screws. It's really, really thin, delicate stuff. So I got myself a new brad nailer. Christmas, DIY Christmas. I'm gonna start from the center, obviously, to make sure that everything, this center box is perfectly lined up with where the light fixture is. I'm gonna move everything over about a ½ inch. It's just not quite lined up perfectly center with the light. So I'm gonna start with, I'm not changing any of the dimensions of the boxes. Those are all staying the same. I'm just moving basically everything over about a ½ inch, which is fine because I actually did not cut the pieces that are gonna run straight into the bookcase there. I haven't done those yet because I wasn't sure exactly how long I needed them to be. So I'm gonna start from the middle, do this center box, and then we'll work our way out from there. So that first one was always gonna be the hardest because I needed to make sure that it was exactly where I need, because everything else is gonna be basically built off of that one. So that one had to be my foundation. It is perfectly level vertically. Horizontally, however, not as much, and that is because, again, nothing in my apartment is completely square. So if I did it, it's as close to level as I could get, but if I did it completely level, it would look really off because the ceiling is actually slanted, and when I put the crown molding right on the ceiling, there's not gonna be much I can do about that, so it's gonna look slanted. So everything's just slightly tilted. But to the normal eye, honestly, it looks fine. You can't tell. And it didn't affect the squareness of any of the angles. There's slight gaps, but I can fill those with caulk, so that's gonna be an easy fix. Now that I have that center one done, I should be able to bang the rest of this out pretty quickly. So, let's go. And now for all the tedious detail work. I started by using a wood filler to fill all the nail holes. Then I used some paintable caulk and a wet rag to fill all the corner seams of those boxes. Steps like these are the things that take forever and are so tedious, but they're the things that also elevate your project and give it a really professional look. Last step, we're going to carefully paint all those caulk seams and wood filler holes, being careful not to get any on the Limewash. This was a relatively easy and quick project, and let me tell you, even though it's painted the same color, like, it makes a big difference. Just that little detail, I think it's the details that really bring a room together, and it's really elevated the room. I love it. I haven't added the crown molding yet because I'm going to do the bookcase and I want the crown molding to wrap around that as well, so I will do the crown once everything is ready to go in the dining room. And I can't wait to do that sideboard. I feel like once that sideboard gets up against that wall is really going to be such a showstopper focal point when you walk in. I love the way this room is headed. We have a ton of work still to do in here. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, do so now. Like I said, we have a lot of projects in here. We have a lot of projects all over the apartment. I do a variety of things. Join our community, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.